I'd like to call the Properties Committee meeting to order. At this time, I would ask that council persons committee members will look at the minutes and offer a motion.
So moved.
Second, all in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All right, new business, resolution authorizing refund of surplus from 2023 demolition assessment foreclosure auction. Mr. Holmes?
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is a resolution that you'll see come before you next week, which authorizes refunding surplus dollars from the sale of demolition, foreclosed and surplus property. Ultimately, what I really wanted to come and talk to you about, though, was to give a pat on the back of some of our city employees. This is an auction that we have done annually for forever. It's not always and not usually particularly successful. What ends up happening is a typical demolition. We may have $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 in demolition cost, and so we place a lien on that property. When it's not paid, ultimately we foreclose on it. We auction it, and we set a limit at that auction to be what we have paid in the property. The problem is these are often properties that have sat neglected. They're not particularly marketable. They're not super desirable properties. And so basically we're telling somebody they need to pay us $6,000 for a piece of property that on its best day may not be worth $6,000. And so we worked with staff and the mayor gave us permission to drop our reserve. So this year's auction was by far the most successful auction we've had. We had a total of 23 properties up for auction. We sold 20 properties. We sold 6 of our 9 foreclosure properties, recouping $26,000, all of our demolition costs on those. And we sold all 14 of our surplus property, recouping all of our demolition costs on those.
That's awesome.
This is in large part due to help from our comms department, who put together a website and did some other stuff to really help get these out there, as well as Jayla and Caitlin and UD, who were able to put together a website and a map and kind of show you. And I'm going to ask them to come up and show you what they did, because their work recouped money from the city. Normally, one of these auctions we may have gotten a couple $1,000s, but their work recouped probably about $70,000 for the city. Not only that on the front end, but they got these properties back on the tax rolls. When they're sitting in our pockets, nobody's paying taxes on them. The technical reason here, the resolution that you'll see next week if this is approved, if we put a lien on your house on your property for demolition for $6,000, and then we're able to auction it for $7,000, we're not allowed to make a profit off of that. And so we have to refund that surplus to the property owners that had it initially. And so what you'll see is, I think there are 5 surplus payments that we're required by law to make, and that'll be the resolution that comes before you next year. But I really want to take this opportunity to show off what they did, because they've done a really incredible job. So I'll turn it over to them and let them show off.
Thank you, Scott. Come on up.
All right. Really, this is just for us to show you that this exists. We want you to know about it. We want you to know part of why this was so successful. We had over 40 bidders that came to the auction, and we're able to use all of this. So this is on our City of Tuscaloosa website. You can see right where it is under Live, Play, Housing. You can see that next tab over there. And Jayla will jump into the specifics on the map.
So we created an interactive property map, so prospective bidders could see what they might want to bid on. They're listed differently. Foreclosures were in yellow, and surplus were the red squares or rectangles. And then if you click on a property, depending on what it is, it'll give you more information about it. So the basics are the address, how much it cost, and the size of the lot. And then we also added tax assessor information, so they could have even more details beyond the city.
Okay.
And then surplus properties were the same. just with price and address. The majority of properties were in western Tuscaloosa, west of 359, but there were quite a few in Alberta area, and then even a few in District 6. And our goal is to update the map annually so that we can hopefully continue to have a successful annual sale.
Yeah, most of these lots are zoned residentially, and they're small. So they're good opportunities for people to find land that we can put housing on, which is important right now.
Right.
Always.
And people willing to come and put cash on these and pay when they've been sitting neglected is a pretty good indication that somebody's wanting to put them to an actual use. And we had, I think, multiple on where we had multiple bidders that actually drove the price up. Just by dropping the reserve lower, we were able to entice more people. And I think once you realize somebody else also wants it, you realize it has a little more value and you're willing to pay a little bit more for it.
Pay a little bit more. You all are rock stars, and thank you so much for what you all have done to help the city to, recoup resources that we expended and bring some money back to our city. Thank you.
And he's not in here, but Dr. Rush's group also did a good job of helping push this information out and make sure people knew it was available. So I'll make sure they don't get left out.
We don't want to brag on him.
You guys have any questions or comments on it? Reach out
Thank
to
you.
us. let
Thank
us
you.
know.
Good job.
Thank you.
At this time, I entertain a motion that we would
So moved.
second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, by the same sign. Next is TCL FBO LLC DBA Bama Dixie request to exercise its lease option of 3 5-year terms prior to the end of its initial 25-year term expiring in 2048. Bama Dixie FBO. Who's going to be presenting and speaking today? Well, we're very
I'm presenting on behalf.
We're glad to have Mr. Pate come on down, and while you're coming to the podium this afternoon, let me say to you, thank you so much for coming before us last month. You've shown us various improvements to the building, and you spoke about your vision for the property as well. And at this time, I want to give you the opportunity to speak to us again and to basically recap for the public your ask for the additional years totaling up, and then I call some other people to give some recaps of some other things.
Sure, I don't want to belabor the point. When I first came here with the request to look at us as someone that was capable and willing to take over what was a failing business, a failing property at the airport. Told you about my passion for aviation. I typically don't wear a hat in the house, but we're pretty proud of Bama Dixie and what we're doing. Quickly this weekend, we pumped 5,000 gallons of fuel in 4 airplanes. 2 of them said they stopped in Tuscaloosa only because of the fuel price, and they were en route to somewhere else. So I've been trying to understand fuel pricing and how it would bring additional traffic to Tuscaloosa. I showed you in the last meeting what we've accomplished with the deferred maintenance to the existing condition. First time I come here, I made it very clear to this committee, and ultimately it was made to the council, that you needed a significant period of term to be able to go borrow money to do additional new improvements. We're pretty close to being through with the deferred maintenance portion, and we're beginning to plan. We're going to be using TTL to do the engineering after we work through with who was actually doing the engineering on behalf of airport authority or the city when it comes to the airport. And they suggested that we use Jason Walker in conjunction to coordinate, because we want to make sure that it fits with the city's overall plan. So we've moved to that step. We're right back to what I said in our first meeting, that we need, the reason we got into that 40-year lease. I mean, people finance their house, we'll use that, we'll take it down to that level on 30 years after they paid for it. They like to live there a while and enjoy it. So we're there. We're in the process of doing our own land planning. I would suggest, I've heard some of Jeff's issues. Anything we do has to come to the planning board, to the planning department, and then ultimately the engineering department, and ultimately Jeff would play a role in making sure that that fits into the long-term plan of the airport. So I mean that's where we are today, and we're back here. I really didn't realize in the lease it needed the council's approval for us to exercise our options. That's okay with me because we want to make sure we are doing what the council would like, or whoever's governing the city at the time, as well as airport manager. I don't think it's worthwhile to go back through a picture program, is it, if you want to? Mm-hmm. We certainly will, but do we think that's necessary, or would anybody like to see it again, or more?
I wouldn't. I'm good.
Let me finish, if I could. I have been talking to anybody in Washington, D.C. that I could talk to about the importance of our airport. Not only this one, but we have a significant development in Anniston, Oxford that's around the airport. I think I mentioned to you last time, but the mayor and the group, and maybe some of y'all were with the mayor in Washington, D.C., addressed the needs at the airport with Senator Tuberville. Why don't you hand this out if you would? And I'll suggest you go to the highlighted areas, but the first thing the mayor said to the senator in his handout is we want to establish a long-term foundation for the airport to be self-sustaining. I absolutely agree with him. Here's the key, provide economic and hangar development and capacity to support community growth for the next 30 to 50 years. Okay? That's number one on what the mayor put in front of Senator Tuberville. Future community projects and strategic priorities. Number three, policies that encourage hangar development. Now, I've heard in here that a long-term lease would create value. Amen. Because without value, people can't make or shouldn't make investments. Now, I'm about $3 million in at the new Bama Dixie. I'm interested in fully developed will be $10 or $15 million in. One of the requirements under the lease commitment that the city did with me is to build a hangar. And we're today to decide, do you want me to continue and invest, or do you want me to just, stop? Just that simple. And I'm here to answer any question, take any question that you might want to propose to me.
And I thank you so much. As I was talking to staff about everything, the additional years, what would that do? What would your new ask do to what is already written?
Well, first of all, you can't finance on 25 years. you won't get it paid for. I mean, if you're making these kind of risk investments, you deserve the opportunity to make a profit. Any of you been in business, you know what making a profit's about. Take the risk, you ought to have the opportunity for the reward. But I mean, when you see the mayor, and by the way, the mayor sent me a thank you for having these discussions with our United States Senator prior to, and about the needs for this airport. I mean, when you see planes landing in Tuscaloosa, it wouldn't normally land in Tuscaloosa because they just want to get fuel. They get the opportunity to see Tuscaloosa. We got to welcome that out front. And, you know, a bank's just not going to touch. You say, hey, finance a $2 million hangar for me, and they look at it and they say, you got a 25-year lease. How does this work? How does this work if we have to foreclose on it? How are we secure that we're going to get repaid? And that it's as simple as that. And while they think that maybe I've got the net worth to repay it or whatever, I won't always be the owner. 25 years will get a lot of us in this room.
I'll still be here.
Still be on council.
Who's your doctor?
Dr. Love.
Yeah, I need him to show me some love then. But really, I think we've demonstrated, certainly the team has demonstrated quickly that what we said to this committee and said to council, that we're going to make a serious and significant investment at the airport. And I have to tell you, I'm seeing a lot of encouragement by other people at the airport that it's somewhat a new day at the airport. And you can look at other things that are going on. We're not the only good story out there. And I think there are more good stories to come. The mayor's got it right. He wants to encourage it. But when you got somebody standing at the table that's spending money, and we got these options based on what we represented, now you know we need them to make that next step. You know, we've shown that first step.
All right. Any committee members have any questions? Or
I'm
Ms.
not a
Payne?
committee. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
And I'm not on this committee, I'm sitting on the periphery. Is that Mr. Bobbitt behind,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Bobbitt behind you? So I'm not sure who, mine's almost a technical question related to the lease. Typically, an option is exercisable at the discretion of the holder, and it doesn't have to wait. And now I'm talking about the options I'm familiar with, not necessarily land lease options, okay? But certainly traded options, exercisable at the discretion of the holder, and you certainly don't have to wait until the completion of the term of the option. What does this agreement between us say about that?
Our lease states that the options are at the council's discretion. It has to come back through council's discretion.
So they're limited or qualified options, then, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks. That's,
So my response to that, when we came to this committee, we said we'll need this 40 years to be able to build buildings and be able to finance building. It's not easy to finance something on what's called an unsubordinated ground lease, meaning that we don't own or control the land. And a lot of times you have a subordinated ground lease whereby the owner will risk his real estate, the owner of the land, with the developer who's going to put the improvement on it when it comes to the bank. Okay? We're not, this is an unsubordinated ground lease, so we don't have the advantage of that at all, and we're not asking for that. But we made it clear that we would build improvements, but we needed that 40 years. We're now at that juncture. We were asked to spend maybe $500,000 on deferred maintenance. We send multiple millions of dollars, and y'all seen the pictures. We'll show them again if you like. Let me tell you what we're doing. We're increasing the standards to work with Jeff. City's moving the gate. We're putting the stop lines in. Any tag that goes in on the ramp, it's recorded. It's held for multiple years. We know who goes in. We know who comes out. We've got some 20 cameras operating there. We've been around to other airports, had the experience, used those airports. I mean, look, when you go through an airport gate, you're supposed to pull up to the line just inside the gate. You're supposed to stop. And you're supposed to wait for that gate behind you to close. That's security. We're implementing that. And we're going to continue to show leadership. We talked the last time we were here about CFIs, Certified Flight Instructors. We've got a young man from Memphis that's looking to come down, take a full-time job. We've got another prospect to potentially take a full-time job. Jeff's seen the new airplanes. There'll be 2 more in this month and a couple of more in early next year. So I'm still excited. Our red bird still sits in that hangar. I want to buy another plane for the company and for the FBO to be able to offer charters. And that's something you really don't find in the airport, is the offering of someone to be able to come out, rent a jet, rent a turboprop, rent a King Air, and be able to go somewhere. So I'm all in, but I need the city to be all in. Could I do it out of cash, out of our pockets? Today, yes. Who knows what tomorrow holds? The economy could crash. But we're ready to start investing in new improvements, not deferred maintenance in existing improvements.
Mr. Chairman, may I jump in and ask a question, and I'll let Mr. Powell jump up and tell me if I'm wrong, because he knows he's forgotten more about this airport than I'll ever forget. You know that's what I'm trying to say. Part of what got this lease is there are certain requirements that had to be met, and Mr. Pate, I think it's undisputed that he's done a phenomenal job of making those improvements, and we're very pleased with them. And clearly, if you need financing, then that means you're going to make more improvements, which is what we want to see. Would you be willing to do an addendum to kind of set out the planned improvements as part of this in exchange for going ahead and exercising these options? Is that something we could work out between you and staff?
The city has every opportunity. We have a planning department. We have an engineering department. And we can't build anything without the planning department's approval. Nor can we build it. We got to go through the process that every developer, that every development goes through in this city. We have multiple departments that have the opportunity to critique, to discuss, to say this engineering is not right, we want this drainage to go this way. And certainly the city has their own engineering consultant. We're going to have our engineer that can work with engineers. The city knows TTL. I mean, there's everything that you ask for exists here in City Hall and is required for a development. But if you want somebody to make the improvements and do what the mayor has gone to Washington to ask to happen, then you need to approve our options. It's that simple.
Yes, sir, Mr. Pay. I understand the approval process, and ultimately that various bodies would have final say. But are you willing to on paper make the commitment in advance is part of us exercising these options. Because if you have plans to finance, clearly you have plans to do things that I'm guessing Mr. Powell and you would largely agree on, and we could get this wrapped
And
up.
about
before this
largely,
time.
we don't get government grants. We actually go out and take risks and work and gain our knowledge to do what we want. I mean, it's real simple. If you want me to continue to invest at the airport and be an advocate at the airport, we want them to exercise our options. It isn't like I'm coming to this committee and it's surprise, surprise. The first day I came to this committee, I said, I need a 40-year lease to be able to go out there and make the investment that I want to make. And if you want to make it challenging, I got other things to do. Just that simple. I don't want to lose my excitement. I don't want to lose. See, I can be more aggressive because I live in Tuscaloosa than some corporate multi-FBO owner across the country. Tuscaloosa is my home. My equipment is sitting out there. I want to build. I was going to buy a new airplane this year. You know what? The door and won't fit, or the airplane won't fit in the door. And I'm ready to move forward. But you know, even if I had a 40-year lease when I came up here, by the time I get the building built, I'll probably only have 38 years left. So put yourself in my shoes. We've got a commitment to pay the city a significant amount of money. We didn't ask for a discount as an incentive. We didn't ask for an incentive at all. What we asked for is to give us 40 years so we can go take risks, develop buildings, and grow the airport. And we're doing that. And we're out being an advocate. We don't work off of government money. We work off of money that hardworking people taking risks have made. But I'm also up there trying to help get this airport government money to understand the needs here.
Mr. Payne, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I know you have long-term plans with the new hangars and all the stuff you're doing,
They're short term.
but but if we granted you that additional 15, can we not memorialize that in something kind of to say this is what I'm planning on doing and in return for giving the option?
You know what concerns me about that is we lay out a plan, Jason Walker lays out a plan, and the deck shuffles a little bit, and all of a sudden I'm back up here. I cannot believe that we're having a discussion about spending money at that airport based on a commitment that I made, and partially as part of the lease, that I build a new building. And now I'm here to say I'm ready to build a new building, and there's a question about giving me the benefit. If you don't believe that I'll make the investment and help grow this airport, offer leadership, then turn me down.
I mean, Mr. Chairman, may I say, because I normally don't vote, but I'm an alternate on this committee and the other member's not here, so I support it 100%. You know, when I visited you, I still was truly carried away with the improvements that have been done. I couldn't believe it. And I know that you will continue to do that, and this is no consequence to me. It's at our discretion. I'm going to support it. And when it comes time, I will make a motion to move it out of this committee to the full council.
I mean, we're going to spend a lot of money. A lot more money.
Any other questions? Jeff, do you have any thing you'd like to add?
I would just add some context to the 5-year options and why those are in place in our other leases as well. They provide options to provide some assurance that a commercial entity on the airport, in this case an FBO, which we have two, is that they're performing to some standard that's reputable to the community, because they are a reflection to Tuscaloosa. They represent Tuscaloosa as the people that are directly coming into the airport. One example with Hawthorne is that since 2016, they've gone through 3 CEOs, 4 general managers, and I think 2 financing companies. And any one of those executive leaderships could change their approach to how they use Tuscaloosa. So in that one example, if they were not representing Tuscaloosa, 25 years from now, you would have the option not to renew that. So to give up the 3-5 years to Mr. Pate, we have no disagreement on his vision. I truly believe that he has passion for aviation and wanting to do good here. That we would normally give in this scenario, that if you want more guaranteed term, it usually is associated with investment to implement the vision that he's describing. So just wanted to give you a reason why that 5-year option is in the lease currently.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on, Jeff.
It's probably time to look at the pictures again, because I'm not about vision, I'm about action. And I have done more than I represented, and I made it clear to this committee that if I were going to build new buildings, does anybody go build, with all due respect, does anybody go build a $2 million building or something and say, oh, well, I'll see 20 years from now whether they're going to renew, whether they're going to grant me my options or not? That don't work. And again, while you work for government, I work to make money, and I reinvest that money. And you talk about all the managers and who all Hawthorne has been through. They're trying to sell again, as you pointed out to me. You think Atlantic, and I've heard in other places, that Atlantic Aviation's going to buy them out. The ownership just gets bigger. And where does Tuscaloosa fall in their priorities? My office is inside of that FBO. Now, I'm not going to live forever in Greenwich. Somebody else will own it. You mentioned to me at our last meeting whether I was going to go out and sell it. And I made you a promise, didn't I? And I'll keep my promise. But if you look at what we've done, can somebody just flash it up here if it's just out of boredom? That's what we started with, okay? That's what we have today. Do you think Hawthorne has a sign, welcome to Tuscaloosa? We do. Can you keep clicking? I mean, the buildings, look at that. I mean, do you know how exciting it was this weekend to have 5 jets come in there and take on all that fuel? The place was falling down. Look at that now. Everybody that comes to our FBO and looks at that hangar is like, wow. People don't build this. There's 2 of the new airplanes that are in, and people are getting excited. We got 5 new students from the University of Alabama that are starting in January to learn to fly. 5 new. We hadn't marketed yet. That's what it looked like. That's the new sign that went up. We just got to get our goal post up next week or the next. Keep going. That's it. The story's pretty clear, I think, of what we've done. And we're not going to make multiple $1 million of investments and wonder whether that some council that we don't even know would renew or grant us our options, nor is a bank going to be willing to get in a situation. And look, financing is something you're gonna deal with as this airport grows. People are going to need financing to put improvements in. And maybe this is, if we can't get through this, I'm not the right guy to be out there. I'm just not.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just gonna say my motion to approve stands whenever you're ready to either call for a vote, or I think it needs to be moved before the full council.
Mr. Crowe, any other questions or concerns?
I'm very appreciative for the work Mr. Tate's done at the airport. It's a night and day difference. I would like to see a memorialization of what is gonna happen where we have that.
I have no idea what the hangars are gonna look like, how many and how quick. I don't have a crystal ball. I know that we've got a requirement to build a hangar, okay? And
And let me ask you this question, was there a requirement to build a hangar based on the term in the lease agreement?
actually, I'm gonna have to tell this council, I missed the fact, I'm so used to what this councilman said, I missed the fact he would have to come back for approval, because I said to this committee here, there was a justification for the 40-year lease, that I needed it to build new hangars. Now, I don't know whether they record this meeting or not.
Oh, yeah.
They do. I mean, we could go pull it back as to what I said. I think this is really a referendum on whether you believe me and you believe in what I will do or you don't. And if you don't, I'm not gonna put an exhibit. One of the reasons I resisted is I don't wanna put an exhibit to an option. Well, we got the option, put an exhibit, and what we do, we shuffle some buildings around. This building is this big, and all of a sudden this company comes in and says, we want a hangar this big, and we want it looking that way. And again, we have got to come back to this city through its departments to get a say in what you develop and how you position, how you do the drainage. Jeff Powell is going to have the opportunity to decide access. I mean, this is really sending, if we failed here, it's sending a loud message to the aviation community out here. And I mean, whether you like to hear this or not, there is a lot of dissatisfied small aircraft owners at the airport. And I'm trying to show, look, we just reduced the price. Anybody that's local at Burns Ave gas, they get a 50-cent discount. Not for self-serve, we'll serve it, just come to our ramp. We are now the lowest price jet fuel in the southeast. And Hawthorne has had to follow us down. It would be my opinion to have been gouged, okay? But they have to decide what their pricing is. But we're down to 75 cents a gallon over cost. And we're gonna continue to be aggressive. I'm in the process of arranging meetings at the offices of these freight haulers to have a discussion of what we need to do in Tuscaloosa to get more of that freight landing here, not landing in Birmingham. I've been told very clearly we need customs. I mean, everybody in this room knows that I'm politically active in a big way. And I'm doing everything I can to get us a customs agent at that airport. And a customs agent, if we can get a customs agent, it will be huge. That's why the mayor, when he met with Coach said, look, I've had a lot of discussions about that airport at these meetings. Airport is essential to a community's growth. Agree? Either let me do it or politely tell me no. If you tell me no, give me a way to exit. I mean, I'm not a short-termer. Everything we do out there in the marketplace is at least 40 years, unless we sell it and then they own it forever. I ask each of you to think and use your experience and your common sense. If you've owned a home, you know how long it takes to pay for it. If you've made other investments, you know what's necessary to take that risk. And what's necessary to take that risk is the belief that you'll make a profit. And if you're a lender, why would you want to lend me money if you didn't think I could be successful? And my success is the airport's success.
Thank you so much. Is there any other comments? Any other comments from any other committee members? So, you know, Mr. Pate, thank you again. I have no doubt that you will make good on your investments because I truly believe that the airport is one of our greatest assets in the city of Tuscaloosa, beside counting the people that live here, that shop here, that trade here, that do business here. Do I want us to be able to have a clear vision of where we're going? Yes, I do. I do believe in that. I do believe in writing the vision and making it plain. I do listen to my colleagues. I've had countless conversations with the majority of them concerning this endeavor today. And what I wanted to do was to get staff's input as it relates to where we are, where we're going, the extent of this lease, what the lease said, because I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert in airports. I'm not an expert in how these contracts are supposed to go. But I do, But I do know that what you brought to the table thus far has been good for the city of Tuscaloosa. No one can doubt that at all. I do want to know what staff's recommendation is in this matter. I do want you to be able to have the lease as well. As Scott Holmes has painted the picture to us, that I'll ask the question, if I'm hearing it right, could not you and Jeff come together to work something out so that we can be able to have something in writing? I think that's been the only holdup.
It's not a holdup to me.
Anybody else?
Well, man, you can poll the council if you want to. At least time for everybody who in if they'll be. I know it's committee, but everybody got to vote on it if we go to council. I mean, if shit, I mean, excuse, sorry about that. I mean, we don't know we live. Y'all forgive me. I don't. I'm just saying, we ain't got to beat around no bush, man. Let's just be straight up. We forward. We ain't. You can poll us. I mean, or because ultimately we can't put the staff on blast. I don't want to put it in their lap and make it their issue because. And Ms. Broche, I'm not trying to take over your meeting, I'm saying that, but we just gotta be honest and upfront because staff ain't gonna make the decisions. And I don't want staff to be holding the bag for what, because ultimately it's up to us. And so we all need to keep some heat for it. I mean, after seeing the plan, seeing progress on this issue right here, I don't see a problem with it. I mean, 25 years.
Nobody's gonna be up here but me, so.
But maybe I might be
Very true.
on vacation. But I'm just saying, so maybe we just need to put it on us, put it in our lap.
Yes, sir.
Can I make a suggestion again? If there's hesitation, why doesn't somebody make a motion to vote on it next week and we'll double it up for full council if it passes? And
I just think it needs to go on to council. And, you know, I mean, that's my opinion, that that he voted up or down this committee now and just go to full council. I don't think there's, honestly, Councilor Busby, I don't think there's anything else to be said.
I'm willing to take the vote of the council. And if you want me to do it, I'm all in. If you don't, help me get out.
What was your recommendation, Councilor Busby?
My recommendation, it's a suggestion, it's just, if it, schedule it for a vote next week in committee. And double
So we will move
it
it
up, and double it up on council that night. And I think that gives anybody that's got any questions, it gives us a chance to talk amongst ourselves.
And I think the majority of us are here tonight.
We can't vote on
And I know not tonight, but
The committee can.
but the committee can.
Yeah.
So, is there a motion?
I've already made the
Uh-oh.
motion,
Well,
like 3 times.
if the sentiment is to take it to council, then take it to council. I am appreciative of what Mr. Pate's done at the airport. I would like to see something in an agreement that says this is what's gonna get done and just memorialize it for him and for us and say this is what he's gonna do and what he's gonna spend. And that's what I feel about it.
Can I-
Understand.
How much would, I mean, the minimum right now in the lease is that I spend, what, $500,000?
You've already spent more than that.
Well, on a new build.
Oh,
So here's my concern. We can take a survey that we've all got, we can draw blocks on it, okay? And we get Jason Walker, who's been recommended by the city's consulting engineer that they can work together. We can lay blocks down all we want to, but the marketplace has got to also tell us. And as soon as we lay blocks down, my concern, we'll put the blocks on a drawing. We'll attach them to something, I guess, some reason for exercising the options. And then this 20,000 block that's laid down for a hangar will become a 10,000, and this 10,000, one will become a 3,000. I can tell you, the number of people that want their own hangar, I can't count on these two hands. But how that deck is gonna shuffle, I can't tell you. I tell you this, you don't want me to build any hangars, let's take the unimproved property out of my lease, and let me go on and keep my airplane there. I'd be happy to go back there. Just
Mr. Pate.
chop my lease down, get back to the original Dixie gear.
Do you not think though, by doing that, there's a way to put words in there that would handle the issues you're talking about?
You know, if it were this council, I'd say yes. But I don't know who's gonna be around in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20.
But we're fixing to be here, we're here now to do it, though. It would be something we'd vote for the 15 years to add to the 25, though. Just with the kind of, if you're concerned about that, this group will, I think this is a very pro-business, reasonable group of folks.
I agree, or I wouldn't even do the first deal.
But I personally want to see if we give that option, here is what is going to happen, and we need to address your concerns.
You mean like him just to say, I'm gonna build another hangar?
Or just
I'm
be
required to, or
specific
you
with
can terminate
Jeff and say,
my
these are the things I'm gonna
Yeah, it's
do,
in-
because I've got it, and then address your concerns, and we vote on it.
It's in the
You think
lease,
I'm gonna
it's
build
in the
another
lease
building
now.
out there?
I believe you will. I do
Yeah,
believe you'll build.
I'll tell you what we'll do, we'll withdraw. I mean, I've never been in a situation where you actually were granted options, or you got the options, but you're having to go through this much discussion to get those options approved by the council. But we're gonna withdraw our request if that's what this committee wants. And what we're gonna come back to do and ask to just, we'd like to remove the property that you gave us under the amendment and let somebody else do it. folks like me walking to this door every day and saying, you know, I wanna help the mayor reach his vision. I mean, I didn't make that up. He gave it to a United States Senator less than a month ago.
So, Chip, you made a motion.
I made a motion. I don't know how many times I can make it, but I've made it
So,
as many times as I
so,
can, so. But it's up to the chairman to call for a vote.
Yeah. Any other discussions? All right,
You gotta have a second first.
that's right. Mr. Tyler has made a motion to send this to full council.
Yes, I have.
I'm going to second it. All in favor, motion aye?
Aye.
No.
Noes? I have the same right. It is passed on to council. Our next meeting of the Council Properties Committee will be Tuesday, February 6th, 2024, 5 p.m. Motion to adjourn,
Make a second.
meeting adjourned.